We're now 3 rounds into the Dominic Smith Expert Electrical Senior Football Championship, and it's time to look at the state of play in both groups. And the first one we're going to look at is Group A. And at the moment, we see that Castletown have won 3 games out of 3. They're at the top of the group on 6 points and a score difference of plus 15. In second place is Glynn-Barntown with 4 points and a score difference of plus 1. Bunclody are in third place on 4 points with a score difference of plus 3. St Anne's are in fourth on 2 points and a score difference of minus 8. Sarsfields are in 5th place with 2 points on a score difference of minus 3. And bringing up the rear of the table is Crossabeg-Ballymurn on no points yet and a score difference of minus 8. And Noel, we've seen 9 games so far in the group. It's kind of beginning to take shape now.
Yeah, like I suppose Castletown would have been sort of earmarked as probably the favourite in this group, and they've lived up to that billing so far. The score difference of plus 15. They've had good wins, and the pressure was on them a bit there last again, I think, in that game against the Ants for a while, like, but saw it out in the end, and they have quality forwards, I think, is the big thing for them. The rest of the group now, like, I mean, the 5 teams that are there, I would suggest are all as probably as good as each other. Some teams have had a bit of luck to get the wins, and other teams, and I'd argue Crossabeg are probably the most unluckiest team. Like, they've been bet by a point twice, I think, at this stage.
Yeah.
And last weekend could have been 10 points up at half time in their game against Glynn-Barntown. Glynn-Barntown came out in the second half and played very well and won the game. Yeah, with some, I think what Glynn-Barntown have done twice, used their bench twice to win the games for them against Bunclody and against Ballymurn. And a thing that I like, or a thing that's probably a big factor in that group as well, is the 2 managers that Glynn and Bunclody have, Joe Hagan and Parrow. Like, they know the scene inside out. And like, Crossabeg are bottom at the minute, and I was just looking at the fixtures that are to come there, like, they still have a chance of qualifying. Like, definitely have a chance of qualifying with the way they're trying to play football. It's good to watch, but just they need a little bit of luck. That's the way I see it. But like, I think Castletown are going through, and I think Glynn and Bunclody are probably, they're almost there, but not quite yet.
If we look at Castletown, they kind of, it was a mundane enough game against Crossabeg in round 1. It was 1-8 to 5 points or something, very low scored, and then it was 11 points to 9 they beat Glynn-Barntown. So again, low scoring, but I was commentating on their match against St Anne's the weekend, Noel, and they scored 118 and could have scored a good bit more than that as well. Like, they were on fire. Ben Brosnan in particular, I think he scored 1-9. 6 points were from play. Their forwards, like, their backs have been solid, but their forwards seem to be beginning to motor now.
Yeah, no, like Castletown, the standard of players that they have in the forwards, like, there's, I'll go from their goalkeeper out. Like, their goalkeeper's very good and puts the ball where he wants to put it. He's also able to get out the field. He's also able to kick scores, like kick and freeze. Then you have, as you said, you mentioned Ben. There's Robbie Brooks. The Holmeses. These are all capable footballers, and very, very good team, solid team for the last couple of years. They're obviously the county champions, and for me, they're definitely going through, and they're probably, as I said earlier, they're the best team in the group, definitely by far.
Yeah.
But then, like, what do they have coming now? They have Sarsfields coming next, who are, probably playing better this year, I'd say, than they have in recent years in the championship. So that's not going to be an easy pushover either. And you see, they're on -3, so they're not losing games heavily either. So it's whether they're able to break down these, how Castletown will go against the defensive, maybe sort of Sarsfield sort of lineout.
Yeah, and you mentioned the managements of Glynn and Bunclody. They've both got over the line in kind of tight games. Glynn have had two 1-point victories, which shows, I suppose, the strength of their character, and I suppose you have to get the little things right to win games by a point. And Bunclody got a point win over the Sarsfields at the weekend and had a good win last weekend over St Anne's, so they're looking good at the moment, as we said. Yeah,
like, I've commentated twice on Glynn-Barntown, and it's been what they've done from the bench has won at both games. Like, last week at the weekend, they're like, so was it Fionn Cooney had been sin-binned, so he came back on after 10 minutes on the bench, scores a point. Aaron Keogh comes on and scores 3 points from the bench, and the last point that he scored, whoever the Crossabeg player was that ran across in front of him as he was about to kick or that Mark Fanning was actually going to kick the free. Then the free gets brought up 10 yards. Aaron takes it. He had missed one about 2 minutes earlier, and to have he put the head down and kicked through the ball and put it over the bar and won it for them. And Bunclody as well, another, again, and that was their game against Glynn-Barntown was another good game, because both teams who want to play football, and I think their managers are able to adapt to the situations or know what to do. They're able to bring in lads and change things up. I've been impressed with both of them teams, to be honest.
Yeah, and just I've seen St Anne's a couple of times now. I missed their game against Bunclody, but I saw them against the Sarsfields in round one, and they were decent enough. Justin Moran was very good that night, but he hasn't featured since. Liam McGovern was very good that night, and he was missing at the weekend against Castletown. Diarmuid O'Keefe hasn't played football yet, so like they're a few bodies down, and they have Glynn at the weekend, and they'll finish off by playing Crossabeg. So things are not exactly. They got to the semi-final last year, but they're not going that smoothly for St Anne's at the moment.
Yeah. But I suppose I always say right off St Anne's at your peril, because you know you're going to a team that'll go the whole way in every game with you, and you're talking with the players that they're missing there, like, and it is a hindrance to them, and you know, like, they went deep into the hurling as well. They got to the semi-finals, you know, so they didn't, you know, maybe they're just catching up now. Like, that's a huge game at the weekend. I mean, the results in this group at the weekend could completely turn around the whole group. Like, you could have the 5th and 6th could move up to 3rd and 4th, like, sort of thing this weekend. So this group is nicely poised for. I think Castletown are safe home, they're through, but I could make a case for any of the rest of them to go through here.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get your predictions then for the 3 games in this group at the weekend. The first one, Glynn-Barntown and St Anne's. How do you think it'll go?
It's a local derby, and I'm going to go with Glynn-Barntown, because I just think that they've been able to adapt in the games that they've been in so far. They've been close games, and they've saw it out, and they've got it. It was Michael O'Regan that sprung from the bench the first night. He started the last night, and he wasn't as impressive as he was when he came off the bench, so possibly he could go back to being a sub again and coming in off the bench, you know. Depends on the games, the teams you're playing, I suppose, but I'm going to go for Glynn-Barntown on this one, just slightly, 2 points.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this for the sake of being different. I was going to go for St Anne's anyway before you had said anything. I just think when their backs to the wall, St Anne's are at their best, and I think it'd be a great boost for them if they can get everyone back and available to play, but I think might just scrape over in a very tight game. The second game is Castletown and the Sarsfields. Yeah,
I think Castletown will see the job out completely, guarantee themselves through. I think they're probably through anyway, but this will, I said Sarsfields have been better this year than they have been in recent years, like, and they've been, you know, putting it up to every team they've played so far. Castletown are a step. Castletown are in my they're one of 3 favourites I have for the championship, and I think they'll have enough to cover Sarsfields this weekend by 3 or 4 points.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the prediction that Castletown will win. I think Sarsfields are playing a little bit better than they have in previous few seasons, but I think Castletown might even win by a good few more than 3 or 4. I think it could even be 7 or 8 maybe for the day that's in it. And the final game then, Crossabeg-Ballymurn against HWH Bunclody, Noel. A very big game, really.
Yeah, potential to be one of the best games of the weekend, I'd say, because both teams are playing nice brand of football. Brendan Keogh, like, he's the trainer there with Crossabeg and has brought them on leaps and bounds over the last couple of years there, and as I said, at the weekend they could have been out of sight against Glynn-Barntown at half time, so this is very hard to call. I think the backs are to the wall for Crossabeg, and I'm going to give them Bunclody have 4 points on the table. Ballymurn's need is greater. I'm going to go probably against the grain here, and I'm going to give Crossabeg the win by 2 or 3 points.
And I'm actually going to go the same. I think Crossabeg might win this game, but I think maybe if they do win it, it'll be a point.